bad ideas, and again, this ugly streak.
Well, you look
ugly streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's Bernie? Bernie is
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is. I mean, he's not a capitalist. You know?
No, he's not, and he's also not president.
He's not. But
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, no, but he will. Trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people. They boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Bill Maher is back with another sharp critique, this time focusing on the Democrats and one of their rising stars, Zohran Mani. In his latest monologue, Maher breaks down what he sees as the cracks forming within the DNC, arguing that the party's direction and Mamdani's version of democratic socialism could cause problems for its future. It's a direct and thought-provoking look at where American politics might be heading next. Buckle up, this one's worth watching.
There are two pillars that this country is founded on. One is democracy, and one is capitalism, free markets. And it seems like one party wants to get rid of one, and the other party wants to get rid of the other. Right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these, 74% are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these?
Okay, let's get one thing straight. It's not that Republicans have a problem with democracy, it's that they believe in fairness. For years, they've watched left-leaning media outlets and their loyal supporters go after them relentlessly, especially former President Donald Trump. From unverified reports to sensational headlines, the goal always seemed the same: to make the Republican Party look bad in the eyes of the public. These constant attacks have eroded trust in journalism and widened political divides. So the real question is, if misinformation and false stories have caused this much damage, isn't it fair to hold those responsible accountable? After all, democracy doesn't survive on deception. It thrives on truth, transparency, and equal treatment under the law.
I mean, where are the Democrats going with this? If Mamdani is the face of the Democrats on the East Coast and Katie Porter is the face on the West Coast, I don't know if that's great politically for that.
Bill Maher is raising some valid questions here. Both Zohran Mamdani and Katie Porter are rising political figures whose views have sparked intense debate about the country's direction. Mamdani, a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, pushes for rent freezes, publicly owned grocery stores, free public transit, and higher taxes on big corporations and the wealthy. His vision, while idealistic to some, leans toward an economy largely driven by government control. Porter, meanwhile, supports allowing transgender-identifying men to compete in women's sports, framing her stance around inclusion and equality. On the surface, both politicians seem to stand for fairness and progress, but beneath the rhetoric lies a more complex reality, one that raises serious questions about fairness, economic sustainability, and the balance between compassion and practicality in shaping America's future.
New York is New York. It's definitely it's the media capital, the financial capital. It is a bellwether like no other city is in this country. So don't tell me that who the mayor of New York is doesn't matter.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Do you think, let's say, on the seize the means of production, do you think the mayor, that one person, if he is a democratic socialist, do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to, usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party nationally.
I think the Republicans are going to...
When you let the Democrat socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. The state-run grocery stores, which worked so well in Cuba and the Soviet Union and Venezuela.
Did you catch what Maher said at the very beginning? He pointed out that electing Zohran Mamdani would practically hand the presidency to J.D. Vance or whoever the GOP puts forward. And honestly, he has a point. Many voters understand the real-world risks of moving too close to socialism, and they're not willing to take that gamble. America's political pendulum swings fast, and when one side goes too far left, the other side gains strength. Maher's argument is simple but sharp. If Democrats rally behind figures like Mandani, whose policies lean heavily towards socialist ideas, they risk losing the moderate and independent voters who actually decide elections. If that happens, the 2028 race could become an easy win for the GOP. Mandani's rise isn't just a New York story, it's a warning sign for the entire Democratic Party.
Ideas, and again, this ugly streak,
Well, you look
ugly streak of anti-Semitism.
who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's Bernie? Bernie is
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is. I mean, he's not a capitalist.
No, he's not, and he's also not president.
He's not. But
And
neither
never
is
would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, no, but he will. Trust me, he will be featured in the campaign
But they're
commercials.
going to feature people. They've boogeyman everybody.
Yeah,
Nancy
but you don't have to boogeyman him.
Exactly. Mandani ends up becoming his own worst enemy. His vision of a socialist-style state sounds appealing in theory, promising fairness, equality, and government support for everyone. But in practice, it raises serious concerns about personal freedom, economic stability, and the cost of keeping such a system running. Beyond policy, Mandani has also faced backlash for his outspoken views on Israel and a series of controversial posts that have divided voters. While those comments may connect with a small circle of supporters, they turn off a much larger group who see them as divisive or out of touch. In a political climate where perception can make or break a candidate, Mandani's rhetoric often overshadows his intentions. For many Americans, his ideas seem too extreme, too uncertain, and too disconnected from real-world governance, making his path to national leadership highly unlikely.
But they'll do it regardless. Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, but
they make
I know,
anybody
but
into boogeyman.
it has.
I think it was
Just have more weight when it's real. I mean, when you can.
Interestingly, the very people this liberal keeps referring to as victims of conservative criticism have managed to create their own problems. Take Gavin Newsom, for example. His downfall wasn't the result of a right-wing conspiracy, it was his own poor leadership during the devastating fires that swept through the Palisades in California. He seemed completely unprepared, with too few fire trucks available, and to make matters worse, the water that could have saved homes and lives was redirected to protect fish habitats. Then there's Nancy Pelosi, who didn't need any political opponent to damage her reputation. She did that herself when reports surfaced accusing her of insider trading that earned her millions. It's ironic that the liberal elite keep complaining about being misrepresented, yet their own questionable choices and priorities reveal the truth more clearly than any critic ever could.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mandani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win.
Mandani seems to have struck a chord with younger Democratic voters, but that support often comes more from idealism than understanding. Many of these voters haven't lived through or studied the harsh realities of communism. To them, it sounds like a perfect world equality for all, fair distribution of wealth, and power in the hands of the people. On paper, it's a beautiful dream, but in reality, history tells a very different story, one of economic collapse, repression, and the loss of personal freedom. From the Soviet Union to Cuba and Venezuela, countless nations have tried and failed under the weight of such systems, yet the appeal remains strong among young people who view it as a kinder alternative to capitalism. What they don't see is that behind the promises of equality often hides control, censorship, and the destruction of individual ambition, the very things democracy was built to protect.
20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it will.
Exactly my point. History has made it painfully clear that socialism fails far more often than it succeeds, yet many young Democrats seem determined to give it another shot. It's almost as if they believe their version will finally be the one that works, but the truth is, we don't need to repeat the same mistakes to understand them. There's no need to experience socialism firsthand when decades of economic misery and social collapse in countries that embraced it have already shown the outcome. The pattern never changes. Grand promises of equality and fairness eventually collapse into shortages, censorship, and loss of freedom. Instead of repeating those failures, we should learn from them and recognize that capitalism, though imperfect, still allows innovation, choice, and upward mobility, the very values socialism has repeatedly destroyed.
When the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's social.
So you see, Maher is absolutely right. If the Democrats were to put forward Mandani and perhaps Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as their 2028 ticket, it would likely be a political disaster. That kind of pairing might excite a small portion of the younger far-left base, but it would alienate the broader electorate, especially older, moderate, and working-class voters. These are people who have lived through the fallout of extreme policies and understand how damaging radical ideologies can be to a nation's economy and social fabric. The older generation, in particular, would see past the slogans and recognize that such a ticket isn't good for the country. What the Democrats need right now is balance and practicality, not ideological purity. A Mandani AOC ticket may sound bold in theory, but in reality, it would only deepen division and push voters toward a more centrist or conservative alternative.
What about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are? I think because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get.
What the Democrats truly need right now is a candidate grounded in reality, someone who understands the everyday struggles of ordinary Americans. The party has spent far too long in echo chambers, debating abstract issues and identity politics, while voters are increasingly focused on real-life concerns like the rising cost of living, job security, and economic stability. People aren't waking up thinking about ideological debates, they're thinking about how to pay rent, afford groceries, and keep their families afloat. To regain public trust, Democrats must step out of their political and cultural bubbles and start listening to people with different opinions, not just those who agree with them. They need a leader who can bridge the gap between progressive ideals and practical solutions, someone who connects emotionally, economically, and realistically with the nation's heartbeat. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.